Good morning. It's Kirsten. How are you? Good morning. Good morning. It is a Wednesday morning. We are officially 1 week before Thanksgiving, like as of tomorrow in the United States. So if you're in the US, that's what we're doing. We're getting ready for Thanksgiving. How are you guys doing? It's so good to see you. So we have official little flurries in Minnesota. Yeah. So where are you from? Carol, good to see you. Tell me where you're coming in from. And if you guys get snow where you are. Good morning, Lisa. Good to see you. It's Wednesday. Who's ready for the middle of the week? Are you guys ready? The middle of the week is a really good assessment. How you doing? So let's see if I have any announcements today. If you're on the replay, let me know you're on the replay and where you're coming in from. Monday night in the group Ditch Insulin Resistance for Women, and that's why I put this up here on TikTok, so that you can go find the Facebook blue button and get into the group from Pennsylvania, and they are saying possible snow Thursday night. Yeah, I know. It's like, I don't know. It's okay. It's fine. More than anything, you guys, it's just the inconvenience of it. That's all. I always think about y'all out east because, like, for people who live like in Buffalo, New York, which I know is not Pennsylvania, but you guys can really get dumped on. And so usually we don't get the snowmageddon where our houses are halfway covered and whatever. And so, I mean, we get the tornadoes, but we only get the tornadoes. But you know what? We were just recently in Florida, and I'm telling you what, when you talk to people who have been living through the hurricanes, I'm like, it's a whole nother level of like warrior people. Good morning, Melissa. Thank you. You just made my day, Melissa. Thank you. You're so amazing. I appreciate you so much. You're just going to get my TikTok going today. Light it on fire, people. And so I was talking to somebody down in Florida, and they live in Tampa. And she said, Hurricane Helene came through, and like the first layer of their house, like totally wiped out, totally flooded, wiped out. And it's the flooding really that's the worst, right? And then Milton, was it Milton that came in after Helene? Milton came in and wiped out his childhood home in Atlanta. Like his mother was still living there. And I mean, she's fine, but I mean, like childhood home from forever ago and totally wiped out. So, that's really tough. So anyway, so I can't complain about snow. No complaining about snow. Around here, it seems to end up being more hype than result. You don't care either way. That's very good. I know my husband woke up this morning. So my husband, he does radio. He's been in Christian radio for 40 years. And he got up and he was working on the forecast. And so then he opened up the window or the blinds, and he goes, well, that was a nothing burger. So it happens to us too, where you get all of these like, prepare. And then like nothing comes of it. And you're like, okay, whatever. But those memes that you see where the snowplow trucks are like this, you see the V, and they're like, you have snowplow. That is Minnesota. We pay high taxes for a reason. You don't get a snow day in Minnesota. It doesn't happen. You do not get to call off work. You do not get to skip anything. I mean, it's so rare because literally those snowplows are out and they are in force, and they go down the highway like zoom, and you're just like done. And you're like, dang it, I wanted a snow day. Good luck. You're not going to get it. It is what it is. I know. Good morning, Barb. Good to see you. Oh, you guys are awesome. Thank you so much. What does it say? It says Live Fest. Okay. I don't know. I was talking about Live Fest. I don't know what Live Fest is. I should probably know that on TikTok. Magda. Good morning, Magda. Happy Wednesday, sweetie. Yes, happy Wednesday. Okay, very, very good. Well, so that's really it. Other than Monday night in the group Ditch Insulin Resistance for Women at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, Jenny Potter, the author of the book Self-Sabotage No More, will be there. And you can put that in your phone, put that in your calendar. She's an amazing human being. And she's really able to help people like clear out unprocessed emotions so that you guys can move forward in life. And remember, I always tell you, like, I don't even think I do, supplementing, this is the easy part, right? Easy, easy, easy. But this up here and this here, your heart, is the harder part. Okay. So we can help you in the entire track of what you're trying to accomplish. Whether you are insulin resistant and you're trying to lose weight, I got you. Whether you're insulin resistant, you're trying to get your sugars down, I got you. Trying to get your insulin, your sugars, your weight. You're trying to get off of scripts. I'm not a doctor, so I don't help you walk that personally. However, many of you have ditched scripts because of turning back your insulin resistance. And so today, what I want to talk to you about, good morning, Julie. How are you? Are you doing well? I hope you're doing really well. I would love to know. But I do want to be able to give you a track to run on so that you don't feel like this should not feel mountainous. This should not feel like overwhelming, like you don't have any options or you don't have any hope. And the one thing that I want to connect it to today is neurological issues. And you may not know this. My mom, she died in 2023 at the ripe age of 94. And she had dementia. And so for the last 5 years of her life, my sister and I took care of her inside of independent living, assisted living. We moved her in 2020 to my sister's house. And then she lived with me at the end and we just took care of her. And dementia really sucks. And there is a connection to insulin resistance. If you did not know that, they call it insulin resistance of the brain, type 3 diabetes. And I'm going to talk about that today. And it's kind of near and dear to my heart a little bit. So as we talk about insulin resistance every single day, you have to understand that most things are connected. And I always say, like, because when I started researching this, you guys, I was just like, how can this possibly be that freaking everything is connected to insulin resistance? How is this possible? And that we're not taught this and this is not talked about. Like, why do they wait until the very end when we finally have blood sugar issues? And then they go, oh, so sorry, you are pre-diabetic or you are type 2. And it's like, God, they could have found out so much earlier and they just didn't even care, is kind of how it goes. But anyway, so let's talk about the neurological connection. Julie, I can't thank you enough for everything. You've plateaued, but you will tweak stuff in your diet and detox your liver. Way to go, Julie. Way to go. And I don't know if you take the gut primer at all. You may not, but I do have a good gut primer that is very helpful for liver health. So just so you know, but you've lost 25 pounds, 7 to go to get BMI healthy. You're doing so good, Julie. You're doing so good. Way to go. Oh, I'm so proud of you. So anyway, okay. So let's talk about this again, because this is something that we're just not told. So here we go. We're going to become our own advocates. We're going to take back our own bodies so that we can feel amazing. And then we can actually make more memories, because if you feel like trash all the time, you're not doing stuff. Last night we did a business gathering here at my place, and one of my little business owners, just kidding, he's 8 months old and he's my grandson. So he came with, because my daughter and son-in-law are in business with us. And, I just sat on the floor with him, just laid on the floor with him, just laid there. And just, I have these bracelets that they just have meaning for me, just different things. And so I took them off and he was playing with them. And I was just able to lay on the floor with him and just kind of, like hold them up and let him grab them and all of those things. And it's just like, it means everything to me, everything that I can do that I can get off, down on the floor and get up and do all. What is it for you? You have to answer the question for yourself. What is it for you? And for me, I am not interested in dementia. I'm not interested at all. Like, no thanks. Bye-bye. See you later. That's not going to be, oh, thank you, Melissa. Melissa's sending me things on TikTok because she's amazing. You're so sweet. And I didn't see the ice cream cone. Dang it. Did it come up and I didn't see it? Oh, thank you. You're so good. So I just want to be able to like bring you down just a little bit of a pathway here today. Maybe this is something you've never heard before. Maybe this is something that's been kind of like in the back of your mind and you've been like, I actually kind of am concerned about that. Like, why all the brain fog? Why all the memory glitches? What's going on? So here, this is what happens. It impacts your neurological health. Insulin resistance is literally at the very, very base core of everything. And then everything above, like if this is insulin resistance, if this is the stump, if this is the foundational piece, everything else is above it. It's kind of like crazy pants that we don't know this, that we're not taught about this. PCOS and gout and pre-diabetes and type 2 diabetes and dementia and fatty liver and not in this ascending order, just in general, fatty liver and high blood pressure and like you name it. So deal with this, deal with this. Barb says she just started the trio. Yay, Barb. I'm so excited. So excited to start this new journey. Thank you for being my support group. Ah, yes, Barb. Yes, 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 yes. I'm so excited. So if you don't know what the trio is, 3 supplements that have 3 ingredients that help with insulin sensitivity. I started them a little over 10 years ago. That's what I looked like on TikTok 10 years ago. And that was me last summer. And I'm just telling you, like, you can get your engine functioning at a different level from the inside out. And then when you do, what happens is you can finally lose weight. You can finally turn back your insulin resistance. I've lost 3 sizes in my 50s taking the trio, just letting you know. And anybody can always reach out to me and ask me about it. I'll send you a cart. Insulin resistance begins in the cells. So when I talk about the trio, I talk about let's deal with this on a cellular level. Instead of there are injections that people are taking for weight loss. And what's happening is it's making your body function by knocking on the door of your pancreas and telling your pancreas to release more insulin. This is helping you on a cellular level. Let me tell you why that's an important distinction to be made. Insulin resistance begins in your cells. When we consume excessive sugar and refined carbs, the pancreas produces insulin to help the cells absorb glucose for energy. Like glucose is not a bad thing. Your body wants it. It's its preferred fuel. It's like, yeah, like give me the glucose so that I can function. And that's why when you're resistant to the glucose and you don't get glucose in your cells anymore, you are exhausted. You have fatigue. That's why, because it needed some energy and you weren't able to give it the energy it needs because you are resistant. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Over time, if glucose levels stay elevated, poor diet, stress, lack of exercise, cells become resistant to insulin. The pancreas responds by producing more insulin to compensate. And then when you have chronic high levels of insulin, it leads to inflammation. So we talk about that all the time. High levels of insulin equals inflammation. Excess insulin triggers inflammation in your blood vessels, including those in the brain. Chronic inflammation damages neurons and impairs communication between brain cells. I would like to know if anybody knew that there was a connection between insulin resistance and neurological issues. Did anybody know this already? Hold on, I want to make sure I'm not missing anything, especially on TikTok. Y'all. Bethany, oh, good morning, Bethany from Florida. Oh, you're in my favorite place. You started your gut primer 3 days ago and you've already lost. Okay, hold on. You started the gut primer 3 days ago and you've already lost second of sludge. I'm so excited. Oh, 2 pounds? That is hysterical. But do you understand? That's why this is so important for you to understand. Anybody who is telling you it's all about just pounds on the scale and you just need to lose pounds on the scale. And I actually got rid of my scale 6 years ago. 6, 7, I don't know. I'm losing count now because I had to start measuring myself. That's why I talk about how I've lost 3 sizes. Superwoman did not know. Barb did not know. Oh, you guys are going to like this information today. I've lost 3 sizes. I've gone from a 2X down to a large in my 50s. That's why I kind of put my before and after up there because it matters. It matters. I had to stop getting on the scale because guess what? She lost 2 pounds. Now that is good. But does anybody think that she lost 2 pounds of fat? It doesn't diminish the fact that she's seeing what's happening. She moved impacted waste through her body. So if you could be losing weight, like let's say with the injections, but let's talk about if you're losing fat or are you losing water, impacted waste, muscle? We don't want to do that, you guys. Our future female self that needs strength in our legs and needs to, I took care of my mom. That's why I think this way, because I gave her showers. That was my job, but it was my sister and I, we teamed up together. I did showers and then she did showers when she lived at my house. So I did showers for her twice a week for years, for a long time. And you trust me, you're not wanting to lose muscle in your 50s, all because you can't wait to lose weight. Like you're just too excited to lose weight. Don't lose your muscle. Don't do that. Don't sacrifice it. So what she's saying though, she started the gut primer 3 days ago and she's lost 2 pounds because her impacted waist is moving. And for you, Bethany, that's a really big deal. So I'm so excited for you. And I'm excited to hear how your body begins to feel because I know you've got a couple of specific things going on. The bloating is going down so you don't look pregnant. Oh, Bethany. I'm so happy for you. That's really good. And it does not affect your short gut syndrome. That is so good. I'm so excited. Okay. I have to keep going. I love your guys' testimonies. It makes me very happy. Bethany, if you put that into a short paragraph and send it to me in testimony form, I'll put you in the drawing for testimonies that are being given to me. If anybody has a testimony about the gut reset protocol, the trio, or the visceral fat remover around your waist and hips, the blood orange, send me your testimonies with or without before and after pictures. I know not everybody has before and after pictures, but if you do, I'm putting all of your testimonies into a drawing. And between now and the end of December, I will collect testimonies because I want to be able to encourage people at the beginning of the year. And I'm giving out a free product. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So talking about the inflammation in the blood vessels, including those in the brain, chronic inflammation damages your neurons and it impairs your communication between your brain cells. Glucose struggles then to enter your brain cells. So just think about how if your regular cells are not getting energy and your brain cells are not getting energy, like that's a problem, right? So the brain is an energy hungry organ. It's relying on glucose for 60% of its fuel. Insulin resistance is preventing the glucose from reaching the neurons efficiently, causing them to starve. So what you have to understand is glucose is not a bad thing. Everything you eat will turn into glucose. I know people are like, I just think it's such a misconception. People are like, you know, those people who go carnivore, if you get too much protein, it's going to turn into sugar. Yup. Yup. Because your body actually wants glucose for fuel. That's the point. Everything you eat turns to glucose. That's not the issue. The issue is this. Does it turn into this much glucose right here? Or does it turn into this much glucose? And you're doing it 8 o'clock in the morning, you have breakfast, and then 10 o'clock, you have a snack, and then lunch, you're having this. And then because you're doing like, Starbucks with a lot of sugar, and then you're doing a Snicker bar, and you're doing a Coke, and you're doing a Subway sandwich, and you're doing ramen noodles, and you're doing like, an afternoon snack of a granola bar that's really only glorified candy bar. And then you're doing, you know what I'm saying? And then you're going to Olive Garden, you're having pasta for dinner, and then you're doing this. And your body's like, and it can't take that much glucose. It was never designed to have that much glucose, but it does want glucose. And so just to reiterate then, your brain is hungry for glucose. Think about how much energy it takes to think and do all of the things that we do and to have memory, etc. So it relies on glucose for 60% of its fuel. Insulin resistance is preventing it from getting into the neurons efficiently, and it's causing your brain to starve of fuel. So insulin resistance in your cells causes you to be extremely fatigued. Insulin resistance of the brain causes those neurons to starve, and that's leading to type 3 diabetes, which is insulin resistance of the brain, which is dementia. And that is also where then you have those, well, I mean, it's an obvious conversation, but it's the beginning pieces of dementia is the insulin resistance, but then it's obviously memory issues. So even right now, like in your 50s, when you are wondering, like, am I going to have dementia? Is this genetic? Is this, because that would be an easy conversation for me to have. But I know that the research that I have done now explains so much, because guess what? My mom, who had Alzheimer's, her mom was playing Scrabble at 97. Skinny as a rail. Now, I'm not saying that skinny is always means you're not insulin resistant. I understand that. But in her case, she lived with my mom for the last 6 years of her life. This is while I was raising my babies. I actually know how my grandma was eating. I actually know kind of like what her life was. So she was not binging on sugar and carbs all day long. She wasn't. She was very metered in her food. She was raised on a farm and she just had a disciplined life. I just know these things. I mean, honestly, you guys, you know what? Like she crocheted. Did she crochet or knit? She crocheted. And while she was living at my mom's, she was so grateful that she did not have to live in a nursing home, that she would wake up in the morning and she would start at 9 a.m. in the morning, and like a job, she's in her 90s, like a job, she would crochet lap blankets from 9 to about 5. You know, she'd listen to The Price is Right and all of those shows, and she would make lap blankets, then put them in a box and donate them to the nursing home. That's what she was doing in her 90s. My mother was being taken care of by her children because she had dementia. So insulin resistance of the brain. The brain shifts to burning ketones from fat for energy. While ketones can help temporarily, prolonged glucose deprivation leads to structural and functional damage in the brain. Insulin resistance is linked. You have to hear this. I read this and you guys, I get a little bit of a twitch. And I'm going to tell you why. When we took my mom out of her home and realized her level of dementia, because we had no idea, she was in her patterns. Took her out of her home. It goes upside down. She has levels of dementia. We're like, OMG, what do we do now? Our life gets thrown into a little bit of chaos. We have to take care of mom, figure this out. I start to become her caretaker. Even though she's living in a facility, she was in independent living. We just created a world for her that we felt was the safest and the best for her. So I'm taking her to all of her doctor appointments. And one of her doctors is her nephrologist, because 20 years earlier, she had kidney cancer, renal cancer, and she had one kidney removed. So for 20 years, she had been walking this line of making sure that her creatinine levels are down and all the stuff. And so her nephrologist becomes her primary, which it's not normal. That's not usual, but her primary quit during, Obamacare and the insanity of that. So her GP quits and she's like, I don't know what to do. I don't want to get a new GP. And her nephrologist says, I will take you on because I think you're delightful. So he was a honey pie. I actually have a picture of them together. Like, he was really sweet. He thought my mom was funny. My mom thought he was funny. It was great. So this whole time we're going and we're managing her MET. We're managing her, all of these things and dementia. And they're putting her on some of these drugs that are like experimental, but they don't even know if they're going to work. And of course, we know now that they pretty much don't, but okay, whatever. And, but we're doing all of these things, and not once, when we were talking about and studying amyloid plaques. Have you ever heard of amyloid plaques? These are on your brain. This is connected to dementia. Not once did anybody say, oh, guess what? Your mom, the buildup of the amyloid plaque and tau tangles. I had never heard that part before. I just heard the amyloid plaques and tau tangle hallmarks of Alzheimer's disease. that's actually linked to her insulin resistance and the fact that she is now type 2 and unmet. Never, ever, ever on the face of the planet did I hear that from a specialist like her nephrologist or anybody else that I took her to for all of the different doctor appointments that she had. Not once from the physical therapist that came to her home, for the people that I would talk to about, we talked to people about when is it time where you maybe stop using a lot of medication, like you just kind of let it go and run its course. Those types of conversations that you end up having with Alzheimer's patients. I'm sure everybody who ends up eventually on hospice. But you have these conversations, never, ever, ever. Insulin resistance is linked to the buildup of amyloid plaques and tau tangles, hallmarks of Alzheimer's disease, which is now dubbed type 3 diabetes. This is not a conspiracy theory. This is not information that is like hard to find. It's just not talked about when you go to a provider. So how do you feel about that? That nobody's telling us this. It really, I can't believe I walked the journey that I walked through. And I touched on so many doctors, so many specialists, so many pharmacists, so many medical providers of all different kinds, including specialists. And this was never a conversation. I mean, it's crazy. Hattie, sing it to the roof. Truth. This is crazy, you guys. We have to pause. We have to step back and go, why are they not telling us stuff? Like, what is up? Why is this happening? We know why they're not telling us, Barb says. Hopefully that will change. Yes. Yes, Beth. Hey, Beth. Good to see you. Yes. Thank you for piping up just because, like, you know, I know I saw when I, okay, I'll tell you a short little story. So when we did our little in-person event, and she might be watching. So hi, Pam. So we did an in-person event and somebody shows up and I don't know who she is. And I'm talking to her and I say, you know, did somebody invite you here? And she goes, no, I watch you online. She's local. I'm like, you watch me online? And then we go through this whole thing and blah, blah, blah. She becomes a new customer and this is really fun. And we're having a good time. And as she's leaving, I said, I said, well, I don't remember what question I asked her. And she said, oh no, I did comment one time on your content. And she told me what she commented. I'm like, I actually remember that comment. So it's hysterical. So I know people watching, they don't comment and that's okay. But Beth, whoever you are, I agree with you 100%. Yes. We want that to change like right now for sure. So, Pam says, Pam, you are here. You're on my Instagram. She says, I'm here. You are my people. I'll be your person, Pam. You are so adorable. I love it so much. But you know what? That's just it. You know what, you guys, if you ever feel like you have something that you should be speaking or saying, you don't know who's listening. You don't know who's being impacted by something maybe that you went through, etc. I'm just telling you, man, it just matters. It matters so much. Okay. So the plaques, the amyloid plaques, they actually disrupt your brain function and they lead to memory loss, cognitive decline, and eventual neurodegeneration. So you guys, if you're trying to avoid dementia, I'm not a doctor, I'm not making any claims, but I am telling you, you will only benefit good things when you turn back your insulin resistance. Like, let's get this turned around now. Let's not wait. There's no time to be sabotaging yourself anymore. I'll be 60 in January. You know, like, no, we don't have time for that anymore. So let's do things now. When you're in your 20s, you feel invincible and like it doesn't matter anymore. And when you're 30s, you kind of go, I should probably do something. And then when you're in your 40s, you're kind of like, I should really probably. And then when you're in your 50s, you see what's happening to the people around you. And you're like, yeah, I gotta deal with this, you know? And then if you're like me and you've had a parent with dementia, you're like, oh yeah, not interested. Bye-bye. See you later. Because dementia is so terrible. So the fallout of insulin resistance on the brain fog, difficulty concentrating, forgetfulness, mental fatigue, memory loss, trouble recalling names, dates, or recent events, mood disorders, anxiety, depression, irritability caused by inflammation and dysregulated neurotransmitters. I'm going to read that one again. Mood disorders. Anxiety, you've wondered, you've asked me. You ask me this stuff. Is insulin resistance connected to my anxiety and depression? Yeah. Anxiety, depression, irritability caused by inflammation and dysregulated neurotransmitters. So just think about that. Think about the, is it SSRIs? Is that what they're called? Think about that, where we are being given something that actually doesn't do what we're talking about right here. Same thing with the injections for weight loss. That's tapping on the door of your pancreas, trying to get it to make more insulin. What I'm talking about is let's work on things from a cellular level. Different conversation. We're having a different conversation. Same thing here. So you have a mood disorder. You're anxious. You're depressed. You're, you've got a lot of irritability and et cetera. And you go to a provider and they give you an anti-sadness, an SSRI. And that's doing something completely different to your makeup, to your chemical composition. It's doing something completely different. And I even followed a holistic psychiatrist for quite a while on TikTok because I ended up using adaptogenic herbs. Again, me being super ignorant of all things natural. But God gave me answers at the times that I needed them. I'm so grateful. But I used adaptogenic herbs for that depression that felt like it was starting to come back up again in my 40s. And it felt similar to that of postpartum and that anxiousness that's right under the surface. And I still talk to women about it today. I still talk about the purple packet. I still talk about all those things. But I did that. I did adaptogenic herbs instead of ever doing anything that was anti-sadness. And it's a completely different answer. It's two different conversations. One comes in and supports your adrenals, the adaptogenic herbs, and helps your hormones regulate so that you can literally deal with stuff. Also then combine the fact that if you're turning back your insulin resistance, you could be bringing down that inflammation in the brain. You could be making your neurotransmitters fire properly. And you could be also then not starving your brain of the glucose that it needs to fuel itself, because it needs 60% of its fuel is glucose. So there are things that you can be doing here from the inside out, like bringing it back and going from insulin resistant to insulin sensitive, and you will gain so many different benefits from it. Like it's just wild, the benefits. So that's the mood disorders. And then the last one is increased risk of neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, dementia, and they are all linked to insulin resistance. They're all linked. And you don't have to be obese to be insulin resistant. It's just the most common. So you could be skinny and think you have no issues. Okay. But then all of a sudden you're pre-diabetic and you're like, what up? It's just different bodies do different things. So common medications that are prescribed for symptoms, here we go. Now I know a lot about stuff like this just because, again, taking care of my mom, right? So you can tell me, Athena, oh my goodness, your mom, Magda. Okay, hold on. Beth says she loves to listen to me while she's doing other things. That's awesome. Thank you, Beth. That's fantastic. Mom Magda, 2017 for me. See, Athena, I have a feeling that I'm not seeing all of my comments because I feel like I'm missing part of that conversation, but I love your mom, Magda. She's amazing. She is amazing. So, I know that when I get off, I'm going to go to my Facebook, you guys, and I'm going to see that whole conversation. But StreamYard does weird things. So I apologize if I don't see your comments while I'm on live, or I go back and then I understand the flow. Because the flow is off. I can feel it. All right. These are common meds that you might be put on, or you might have a parent that's been put on, or etc. This is my mom. She was put on donepezil. Increases acetylcholine, which is a neurotransmitter important for memory. So she was put on donepezil. This is for memory loss or cognitive decline. Another one would be memantine. It reduces abnormal brain activity in Alzheimer's patients. I'm going to be honest, I never, ever, ever, ever felt like I saw a difference between when she was on donepezil and when she was off. And all of these things have side effects. So anyway, for sadness or anxiousness, SSRIs, sertraline and escitalopram increase serotonin to improve mood. Okay, so where is serotonin made? In your gut. 90% of your serotonin. Here, hold on. Look at me not having my stuff ready. Oops, I think that made noise. Gut primer. Gut primer and a probiotic. Change your gut. And remember, your gut is from right here. It goes all the way down to the other end. Whenever everything comes out, that's your gut. It's your esophagus, your stomach, your small intestine, your large intestine, your rectum. It's from the top to the bottom, from where everything goes in to where it goes out. And inside of your gut, 90%, 80%, 70%, you hear all the different statistics. A ton of your serotonin is made in your gut. Your GLP-1 is made in your gut. If you need to know about a gut reset protocol, like, let me know, because I'm telling you, you can begin to change things from the inside out without maybe having to go on certain scripts. And again, that's up to you and your doctor, but I'm just telling you, there are ways. If you can increase your serotonin, you can improve your mood. That's what they're trying to do by giving you an SSRI, which is one of the drugs. And diazepines prescribed for anxiety, but can lead to dependence. I mean, you guys, we've got natural answers. For energy and alertness, they will give you stimulants like Adderall or Ritalin, often prescribed off-label for brain fog or lack of focus. I'm so glad I never went down that route. I didn't even know that route existed. I did adaptogenic herbs instead. And if you guys have questions about the purple packet, about what I took, I will tell you. I used to create a lot of my content around that because adaptogenic herbs like saved my tuchus. Like, seriously, like my brain fog was so off the charts. I kept saying to my husband, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? And he'd be like, nothing is wrong with you. Stop saying that. And so then I started taking like rhodiola and other adaptogens, and it changed the way that I functioned. Then balanced out my hormones, and I didn't know it was going to do that. Didn't know that over time with consistency. And now I've added in like ashwagandha. I have a phenomenal ashwagandha. Hello, Deb. Good to see you. This is scary. All the symptoms you mentioned are the symptoms experienced with insulin resistance and fatty liver. P.S. My two daughters are Athena and Katrina. I love that, Magda. I love that. Good to see you. Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, all the symptoms. I know. I get it. And this is why I don't stop talking about insulin resistance, because I can talk about anxiety and depression and like just moodiness and irritability and inflammation and brain fog and memory glitches and high blood pressure and PCOS and type 2 diabetes and gout in your feet and fatty liver and let's see what else, belly fat and digestive issues, indigestion, not sleeping at night. What is the core of everything that I just mentioned? It's insulin resistance. It's freaking the base of everything. So instead of, ooh, symptom, here's a script. Symptom, here's another script. Symptom, here's another script. Oh, here's another one. Here's another one. Here's another one. And then you're my dad with a lazy Susan full of prescriptions. Stop the freaking insanity. That's why I get so excited when you, on your own or with your doctor, you're getting off of script after script after script, including anti-anxious scripts. HBP, anti-anxious, anti-sadness, STATINSs. You guys are getting off of all of them. Like, it's amazing when you send me those testimonies. So anyway, yes. All right, make sure I'm not missing it. You've been struggling with complete lack of motivation and brain fog for 3 years. It's very frustrating. And so what you can do, and then I'm going to keep going here. What you can do is you can use adaptogenic herbs on the front end to help you with that mental clarity. Like the rhodiola that I take, and you don't have to buy it inside of the purple packet. You can buy it separately. But It's a specific blend, and it is a mood brightener and a mind brightener. So sometimes we need to brighten our mind yesterday so that we can at least have the motivation to change out an ingredient, change out a recipe, stick to a plan, get through our day, etc. And so sometimes having it on the front end, and that's just how I did it without even knowing that that's what I was doing, because I didn't understand that my brain fog was connected to insulin resistance. I had no idea. You guys, I was so clueless. It's not even funny. So I basically started taking my rhodiola blend that I have, and I started using that to give me mental clarity so that I could function at a higher level, because I was having a really hard time multitasking. And so that's what I did on the front end. And then I was able to take on turning around my insulin resistance. I hope that makes sense. Sometimes you need something like that. So, yes. And then basically, inflammation for pain. So now when you have a lot of high insulin, you have a lot of high inflammation, and now you ache and you don't feel good. And maybe you feel like trash, and it could be inflammation in your brain that's causing brain fogginess, or it could be inflammation in your joints. It could be inflammation just in your body in general. And it's super frustrating, right? So oftentimes then, like I was popping ibuprofen all the time. I considered that to be my supplementation. Now, I really didn't think it that way. I just was taking a lot of ibuprofen. You would have thought I was supplementing with it. And I'm not joking, because it's like, oh man, my neck. Oh, and if I take ibuprofen, all of a sudden, wow, I can really move my neck. This is great. So why wouldn't you? Because wasn't it God's gift to us? Well, it's obviously really bad for our bodies, like really, 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 really bad. So NSAIDs like ibuprofen, Advil, well, Advil is ibuprofen, naproxen sodium, which is Aleve, Tylenol. I guess that's not an anti-inflammatory, but all of these over-the-counters are super bad for us, really, really hard on our liver, our kidneys, etc. But they attempt to reduce inflammation through long-term use, and they can harm your gut health and liver function. So now you're just going backwards. Here you are trying to fix your gut, but you're taking ibuprofen. Here you are trying to deal with, your liver and get your liver to function at a higher level. But if you're taking ibuprofen on the other end, that's why I tell people, listen, okay, so you're taking the trio. This is helping you go from insulin resistant to insulin sensitive. You're changing out your foods. I hope you're hearing me on that one too, right? You got to fix what got you into the pickle to begin with. That's what I teach in the group, Ditch Insulin Resistance for Women. So you're changing out your food ingredients, and you're still a foodie, and you're still loving your food, and that's great. Your inflammation is going down, right? It's going down. Now, if you really do want an extra layer, instead of taking IB, order the turmeric. Please order the turmeric. Turmeric is very anti-inflammatory, but most turmeric is not very bioavailable into your system. But the turmeric that I have is 45 times more absorbable than any other turmeric on the market. It's very potent. They've scientifically made it so that it's very bioavailable into your system. So taking 400 milligrams of this is like taking 6,000 milligrams of another turmeric. So this is what I do with it. I take, and it smells amazing because it has fenugreek in it. And fenugreek, FYI, is really good for your sugars. I love the smell. I think it smells like maple syrup. Not everybody agrees with me, but it's very sweet. Fenugreek has a great smell. Anyway, so I'll just, on a normal day, I'll take one in the morning, and then I'll take one later in the day, take 2 a day. Okay, perfect. It's just kind of keeping my inflammation down. I feel good, blah, blah. When I have, and this happens to me more than I would like to admit, but like last weekend we were walking. I don't even know, because we were at a resort in French Lick, Indiana with our business team. And we just did a ton of walking to get to every place that we were going. So it was great. Like we were getting our steps in. Well, I just maybe didn't think about the shoes that I was wearing, et cetera. So one day I had these boots on, and I just got to the end of the day, and I'm like, oh, why did I do that? So guess what I do? I take 2 turmeric and I go to bed. Even if I've taken one early in the morning, it's okay. I take 2 and I go to bed. I wake up, and I just, like, while I'm sleeping, my inflammation is going, and I feel so much better in the morning. I wake up and I'm like, all right, let's go. I can do this. And I've done that a good 3 to 4 times in the last 3 to 4 months, where I've just had something that has taken place where I'm like, oh, I'm going to feel, oh, one was a state fair, the Minnesota State Fair. We walk for hours and hours and hours and hours. Like, we're crazy people. We're the crazy family at the Minnesota State Fair for 12 hours. I get home and I'm like, oh boy, take 2 turmeric and I go to bed. Okay, so that's the anti-inflammatory part of it. But why aren't we told these things? Lack of preventative education. Conventional medicine often addresses the symptoms instead of the root causes, like insulin resistance. You need to understand this. Doctors are not trained extensively in nutrition and metabolic health. Is anybody shocked by this news? Maybe you've already gone to the doctor and you've realized that they have not been trained in nutrition or metabolic health. Like, this is ridiculous. I'm an Italian chick that just like figured things out and studied, and I'm a geek, and so I research stuff. Come on, if I can be my own advocate, so can you. I'm just like you. You're just like me. We're just people who are tired of the lack of help. We're just tired. We're done with going and not getting answers or getting trash answers. And when you get a trash answer and you're like, that's not, no. I've done enough research to know that you kind of don't know what you're talking about. That's a little sad and actually kind of concerning, considering the fact that you're supposed to be my doctor that tells me the things that I'm supposed to know. So I guess I'm going to figure this out on my own. And then that's kind of where I come in, and I'm like, well, let's just do it together. Because what I did, the results that I got, if I can help you compress time and do it faster, then let's go. Let's get your body back. FYI, Wednesday, December 18th, an expert is coming in, an expert that we heard in June about the gut primer and the fat burner and the, I believe he's going to talk about pieces of the trio. Anyway, if you are local to me in Minnesota and you want to come that night, it's like for an hour, 7 to 8, something like that, here in the cities, please let me know. Reach out. I will have a swag bag waiting for you. And I would love to meet you and hug your neck. If you are not local, which most of you are not, let me know and I'll put you on my VIP list. And I will get you a Zoom link for that night, okay? Because I feel like if you're on my content, and especially after, like, what time is it? You're probably a little bit like you're really enjoying learning more so that you can, because knowledge can be power like that. Applied knowledge. Applied. When you get knowledge and you actually take action on it, it can be very powerful for your turnaround. So that's just an FYI, because they're not trained in nutrition and metabolic health. So when you're taking this on yourself, if you'd like another layer of knowledge, please let me know. And I'll make sure that you get the Zoom link for that. It's Wednesday, December 18th. And it's like something I'll have to look, 7 to 8 Central Standard Time, FYI. Pharmaceutical focus. The healthcare system prioritizes medication over lifestyle change because it's quicker and it's more profitable. Shocker. Delayed diagnosis. Insulin resistance is silent for years. I talk about this a lot. And testing is often overlooked unless blood sugar levels reach diabetic ranges. You guys, I'm not making this stuff up. This is literally just research. You don't have to guess anymore. This is what they're doing. Insulin resistance is silent for years. And you don't have to, you can put in the chat if you want to, but how long do you think you've been insulin resistant until finally it showed up as health problems? Finally showed up as PCOS or fatty liver or type 2 diabetes or high blood pressure. How long? How long has it been, do you think, if you had to guess? Testing is often overlooked unless your blood sugar levels reach diabetic ranges. How frustrated are you by that? That they just waited and waited and waited, because their protocol is not to test for your insulin. It's to test for your sugar. Systemic issues. Big food companies promote high sugar, processed products, while misinformation clouds the truth about diet and metabolic health. So how do you turn it around naturally? Well, I teach whole food keto. I I avoided talking about it very, 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 very long time because there's so much noise about it and so much misinformation. And I thought, God, do I want to even get into that muddy river? Like, oh, but the truth is that a low carb, high protein, moderate fat diet, which is a proper keto diet, it's essential, but it's effective because you can undo what got you into the pickle to begin with. You wouldn't be diabetic if insulin resistance had been treated. Yep. Limoncello. I love that. Love that so much. Thank you so much for being on here. I like your lemons in your handle. I love that. Yeah. It's very, very, it's disheartening because then you feel like you just can't trust the powers that be. It's icky. It's kind of icky. So replace a refined carbohydrate diet with basically high protein and healthy fats. So we do have to switch. And that's where I just tell you guys all the time, listen, you can be a foodie and do this. It's the reason why I didn't trade out my foods at first, because I honestly thought that I couldn't do it. Being Italian, being so emotionally connected to food, I thought for sure I couldn't do it. That's why I actually started with supplementation, not being a supplement person, but I started with the trio. It's a little over 10 years ago. And now that's fully supported me in losing 3 sizes in my 50s. But I did eventually have to trade out my foods. And now I love the food that I eat, you guys. And you can too. And that's why I teach in the group different recipes on how you can do this so that you can love the foods that you're eating too. You just switch out the ingredients. It's a big, big deal. It drives me nuts when I go to the doctor for advice and they start suggesting things that are contradictive to what you're trying to accomplish with your health. It is contradictory. It is such a pain in the tuchus, Magda. I mean, it's honestly like, then you wonder, why did I come here? Why did I pay my copay? Why am I here? And that was the story with my friend who was type 2 diabetic, couldn't get her sugars under control, goes to her diabetic nutritionist, wink, wink, like, what the heck? You're supposed to know, and told her that she could have 150 grams of carbs a day. All she had to do was stop using just the pill and start doing injections of insulin. And she left and she knew better. And she was so mad. She called me and she's like, all right, I'm ready. Help me. Help me. Help me. Because she knew in her heart that what they told her was wrong. And she had to finally she kind of like acquiesced. And she was like, I have to just take this into my own hands. I got to figure this out for myself. And she has. She's done a really good job, like a really good job. And she's lost a lot of weight too. So, when your sugars and your insulin are high, you can't lose weight. Maybe you did not know that until just right now, but that's what's happening. You're on a hamster wheel and you're chasing weight loss. And it's very, 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 very elusive because nobody's told you that while your insulin and your sugars are high, you can't lose weight. That's what I teach. That's what I help with. So, keto diet. Avoid inflammatory foods, obviously, sugar, grains, seed oils, and processed foods. People are like, why does, you have such really good skin and blah, 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 and blah. I do use amazing skincare. That's hands down. Obviously, I love my skincare, blah, blah, blah. Like all of the organic botanicals that are in my supplements, they're in my skincare. I love that so much. But the truth is that also too, from the very beginning of my day, I don't wake up with puffy eyes. Why don't I wake up with puffy eyes and an inflamed face? Because I don't eat grains or sugar. So I'm not eating inflammatory foods. I'm eating very low inflammatory foods. So I'm just telling you, like, you can change so much about what's going on inside of your body, inside of your gut. You can change how your gut is functioning so that you can change maybe skin issues or depression issues or digestive issues or GLP-1 lack. Just saying. Increase your physical activity, even just walking is so good for your lymphatic system. Supplements, obviously, I talk about those all the time. One of them that they actually mention on here is EGCG, which is an extract. It promotes fat burning and improves metabolic health. That's this one. Then this one is for your liver. And if your liver is tired and toxic, you can't lose fat. You may not have ever heard that before, that your liver is your fat metabolizing organ. And then you can bring down your sugars and your insulin just telling you, and you don't have to take my word for it. Do not take my word for it. Go to the top of my Instagram page. Take 10 minutes today. Don't sabotage. And look at the pink highlight bubble. This is pink. I think it looks red on TikTok. This is pink highlight bubble at the top of my Instagram page. And it's called the Trio, TRIO. Look at all of the different testimony after testimony after testimony after testimony after testimony. Do it for yourself so you can understand the benefits that people are seeing with that. One great one that I don't know if she's on today. That's okay. Terry, she's been on the Trio for 8 months. She's been doing the Trio. This is why you can compress time, you guys. This took me years. And in 8 months, she did what I was working to do. 8 months. She started the Trio. She traded out her ingredients. She went grain-free and sugar-free. And she combined the two. And in 8 months, well, she started with the food. And then she eventually added in the Trio. So she did it the opposite of me. And in 8 months, she's lost 40 pounds. And she's 62. This is not hype. This is actually just getting your engine to function. It's not hype. And then make sure you're getting enough sleep. And that's a big, big deal. If you've got to fix your sleep, if you need help with that, you can always reach out to me. My ashwagandha would help you. Ashwagandha helps with sleep, stress, and mood. If you're a melatonin person, I'm not. Makes me drunk, but I do have a melatonin gummy that's highly efficient. So much so I can't take it, etc. Like there are things that you can do to help your sleep. I also have a sleep health that is, it's an herbal blend. Very nice, very lovely. Doesn't make you feel groggy. Doesn't make you feel like sludgy the next day. Melatonin kind of does that to me. So anyway, Mama Bear, thank you so much. Hi, good to see you. Thank you, thank you, thank you for liking the live. I appreciate that. The Trio are 3 supplements that have 3 ingredients that help with insulin sensitivity. And I started them just a little bit over 10 years ago. So when you see my picture right there, that's what I looked like when I started. And when you bring down your insulin and your sugars and you get your body to function from the inside out, like your liver function, your metabolism function, you start to bring down the glucose in your blood and the insulin, because when you're resistant, you're releasing so much insulin to try to deal with all the glucose. When you can start to bring those down, your body actually responds. And so I have people that have gotten off of type 2 meds, people that have lost a lot of weight, because when your insulin and sugars come down, that's when you can finally lose the weight. You absolutely cannot burn fat if your insulin is high. It's not possible. Like you have to, this is a hormonal conversation. Insulin is a hormone. So that's what the Trio is. So you can, I always put this here because I've underlined my IG, and you can just portal over there. That's on my profile. You can portal over there and look at the top of my IG, that the pink highlight bubble. And then you can reach out to me. Anybody at any time can reach out to me and say, you talked about the Trio, or you talked about the gut reset protocol, or you talked about the turmeric, or the fat burner, the orange pixie sticks. Those are getting such good results too. And would you put a cart together for me with this, this, and this? I'll customize something for you, and you can take a look, and then we can take it further so that you can get what you need, but don't buy stuff you don't need. But in the meantime, guess what? 6-month guarantee on all the products. Like I always say it, like you show me another company that's doing 6-month guarantee on their products. Empty bottle guarantee, 6 months, 180 days. From here until December, January, February, March, April, May. From here until May, guarantee. You let me know if you find another company that does that, that believes so much in their products that they're doing that. You won't find one. It doesn't exist. So that's what the Trio is. And it works. It works. It works. And I'm so excited. Magnesium, I will have a magnesium launching at some point. We had one before and I loved it. And then they're reformulating. So in the meantime, I'm taking a magnesium that I get off of Amazon. But what I look for is I look for a glycinate. And mine is actually mixed with citrate. And it's mixed with a bunch of other stuff. But look for a good glycinate and take it at night before bed to help your sleep. Okay. And then also to magnesium deficiencies fill in just a myriad of symptoms that you are having that you probably don't even know are connected to a magnesium deficiency. So that's with your sleep. Make sure you're doing that and track your progress. Like I always tell people, if you're taking the blood orange pixie sticks, so those are the visceral fat reducers. I mean, honestly, you guys, the testimonies of like my hips have narrowed so much since August. My husband's love handles, etc. All of these good things. Measure yourself, track your progress so that you can be encouraged and have hope for yourself. Okay. And Magda is my dear friend that she took a couple samples and she tested her blood sugars for all of you to make sure that it's not spiking sugars. And that was really, really, really important. But your key takeaway on everything we just talked about is that insulin resistance doesn't just affect your weight, which it does. It's a root cause of your brain fog, your memory loss, and even Alzheimer's. By addressing the underlying metabolic dysfunction, you can not only reverse insulin resistance, but you can also protect your brain for the long haul. And that is why I wanted to talk about why your memory loss and your brain fog, it's most likely connected to your insulin resistance, and you can do something about it. Doesn't that feel good? I mean, honestly, I love knowing that I have more control than I thought I did. I love that feeling because when you feel like you're not being advocated for, when you go to a provider, when you feel like they're not hearing you, they're not listening to you, gosh, it feels good that you know that there's something that you can do and take steps. Because we don't have a choice anymore. They wanted us to think that for the longest time, that the greatest benefit that you could have as an American citizen is that you have healthcare with low copays for all of those scripts that you need. That's amazing healthcare. If we can just lower the cost of the scripts and you could go and pay $3 or $10, or you could get generic, aren't you just excited? Woohoo! That was supposed to cost you $2,000 a month and you're only paying $10. You are winning. That is BS. No, that's not the benefit. But they were never going to tell you about the connection between your nutrition. They were not going to tell you anything about your insulin resistance, the connection with your weight, the connection with your brain fog, the connection with everything else that we talk about. I've already listed it so many times, your gout, your PCOS, your type 2 diabetes, everything. They weren't going to tell you that. They were just going to tell you, oh, I wish I had a tray in front of me. I don't have a tray. If I had a tray, like a silver platter, if I had a silver platter, look at the buffet of scripts that I have for you. You are blessed and highly favored. You're welcome. Love, PHARMA. I mean, honestly. And then they'll say it in a really nice women's voice. Usually it's a female's voice. Not always. I shouldn't say that because I actually don't watch commercials very much. But, it's like, and here's this script for you and it'll be amazing. Of course, side effects could be, anal leakage or loss of a limb, or you might die or have a stroke. But here you go. Ask your doctor today. I mean, this is ridiculous. What kind of a clown world do we live in where we actually feel like that is our benefit, is that we have a small copay for all of these scripts? We can turn this around. We can absolutely turn this around. And I always tell people, you don't have to do it the way that I did it. You don't have to, but at least then listen to, you don't have to even do all of the pieces that I do. I'm kind of all in, right? Because I'm not interested. So I do the trio, I do the gut reset protocol, I do the blood orange, I do all of it. Okay. And you may not do that, but you can change your food. You can change your ingredients. There are a lot of people that come onto my content that are from Australia and England and India and South Africa and the Caribbean. And I have people from all over the world, right? And I can't help you with supplementation. I can't. The truth is that I can help you if you're in the United States and Canada, because every government has different regulations for the ingredients that can be used. You don't even know how good you have it. in the United States that you have access to these supplements. You don't even know. Basic supplements that other countries don't. They don't have access to them. I would say at least once a month, I have a conversation with somebody that says, you can't sell them to me, can you? And I say, no. And they'll say, okay, I do have a friend in New York, or I do have a friend in Florida. If I have them order it, they could ship it to me. And I'm like, sure, you can do that. It's just expensive, right? To have that shipped to you wherever you are in the world. And I can't do that for you because then I'm an exporter, and that's a no. And that's why I won't do that. I'm not going to go against government regulations, but you could have a friend ship stuff to you because, people do that all the time. But you don't even know how lucky you are or how available natural thought processes are for you. And like the blood orange, it's not even launched in Canada yet. So my Canadian peeps can't even get it. It's like, I'm sorry, I forgot. That's right. You probably aren't launched yet. So if you're in the United States and you have access to these pieces, don't take that for granted for yourself. Well, hello, Hillary. Good to see you. Very, very good to see you. So does anybody have any questions before I jump off today? I want to go ahead and just leave you with that thought process that should you ever need anything, reach out, like get into my messenger. If you're on Facebook, messenger. I was on your live today and you were talking about this, or this. The 3 supplements that help with insulin sensitivity, the gut reset protocol. Man, I know my gut is messed up. I know I have leaky gut. I know I'm leaching nutrients. I know this is the very base of why my supplements aren't working. I know that this is the base of why I'm not taking in nutrition from my food. I need help with that. Or maybe, hold on. Or maybe you're like, I have heard you talk about the blood orange, the orange pixie stick. And what that does, just to let you guys know, it's a thermogenic extract, and that's reducing the visceral fat that's around your waist and your hips. And I would say that's exactly the results that people are getting. Plan on doing 1 full box, 30 days, measure yourself at the beginning of 30 days. And then most of the time, what's coming back to me in testimony is you're realizing an inch loss around your waist and around your hips. And that doesn't just stop then after a month. I just want you to know that they've tested it for a full year. They test far beyond other companies. Other companies test maybe a couple of months. They tested it a full year before they launched it in the US to see that results just kept on going. So just to let you know that. Anyway. Okay, I think we're good. If you need anything, inbox on Instagram, Messenger on Facebook, and then TikTok. I put this up here because you do have to portal over. And then make sure you follow me. If you're not following me, follow so you don't lose me into the algorithm of the universe, especially on TikTok, because that's how that works. And then tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time, guess what we're going to do? We're going to be back right here again, talking about insulin resistance so that you can get encouraged. It's Monday through Friday. We do this at 10 a.m. unless I'm traveling or it's a holiday. And I can help you navigate your journey. I have a track for you to run on that is most likely completely different than anybody else's track. And my compression of time that I can help people with is different because it took me a few years to figure this all out. And like I said, Terry did it in 8 months. She's lost 40 pounds. I mean, that's just a different track than what other people are talking about. There's no jazz hands. There's no magical potions. It's scientifically understanding what your body is doing when you're insulin resistant. And then you turn that back and then you function again. Praise the Lord. We all want to function again. So, all right. Have the best day ever on the face of the planet. Facebook, I'm going to go back and read your messages because I know I've been missing your messages. I can see it. So have a really